On this week's episodes, we're talking about the XFL and NFL partnership, Kyrie and the Nets, the MLB Lockout, and of course, Russia. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8, season 2 of Points and Penalties. For all our listeners, we'd like to remind you to please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. For our viewers on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the PMP button in the bottom right-hand corner of this video. No matter how you check out PMP, please give us a like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Points Penalties. Once again, my name is Josh. With me are my co-hosts, Kevin, Jesse, and Peter. Kev, you're always my number one go-to guy. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm having myself a turkey shot. It is a Lake Simcoe lagered ale. Looks pretty cool. So like, a little turkey on there, some mappage.
Turkey lurkey. Gobble,
now
gobble.
it's not potent, but I have been doing quite some drinking the last few days. So I'm only sitting at a 4.8.
It's the weekend.
Yeah.
A 4.8, huh?
Yeah, 4.8.
Quite the bitch beer, Kev. I expect more of you.
Already.
Yeah.
Already. I'm just gonna give her a little sip here.
Is it water or is it beer?
It's a bit of both, man.
New beer.
Yeah, it's my new one, that's for sure. That's good. Liked it. Probably have a little bit more of them. I probably could have a little bit more of them since it's only 4.8.
Probably.
Jesse,
I have like 5 of them.
Oh, maybe 6. How's your drink, or what are you drinking here?
Well, I haven't had a sip yet. Mine is from Allura Brewing Company, and it's called Lady Friend, and it's got a chick punching a bear.
I thought we
Yes.
said no lady friends on this show, Jesse.
Yeah.
Well, with this beer, it's 6%. It's pretty good. It's gonna be pretty tough, so should be too bad. I'm gonna try right now.
I'll get punched in the face.
Haven't had an IPA in a while. Pretty good. I've had Allura Brewing Company a few times, and I like their beers. So, Peter, what are you drinking?
Well, thanks, Jesse. I like my odds here today so far. After your 2 bitch beers, I'm having a Kitty Vitty Calm Tom's Double IPA.
Oh.
It's a strong beer, 7.5%. I don't know who Calm Tom is, but there he is right on the can. If my blur function will fuck off for a minute.
No.
Which it won't. But yeah, Kitty Vitty's Calm Tom, Double IPA. And I didn't just crack it now. I've been drinking it for a while, waiting for you boys to catch up. But that's okay. It's pretty good so far. It's obviously hoppy, but not bad. Josh, what are you drinking?
All right, guys. I went super local this week. Block 3 Brewing out of St. Jacobs, Ontario, not too far away from here. 20 minutes maybe on the highway. It's called One Up, and it looks just like Super Mario type stuff. That's all it says on it. It's an extra strong beer. And Pete, yours is a bitch as well, because this is an 8.7.
Fuck!
Then I'm gonna try this one. Oh, I found a little spillage there. I'll try that. So
You one up to me, you son of a bitch.
sure did. That's pretty fucking good.
Did you see what I did there?
Yeah, I got you. One up. One up. I got it. Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Oh, that's pretty tasty. It's hoppy. It's IPA. It's good. I like it. All right, Pete. I know you got something to tell us on the international front. Start us up, buddy.
Yeah. So for those living under a rock these days, Russia has launched an illegal full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
What?
So they are currently at war right now. Ukraine trying to defend itself against the Russian advance. And that has led to some significant pushback in terms of sporting events allowing Russian players to play. So starting off in the World Cup qualifying, Poland, Sweden, and the Czech Republic are all refusing to play any upcoming games against Russia in their World Cup qualifying playoff. Poland is scheduled to play against Russia in Moscow for a semifinal on the 24th of March, and the winner of that would play the winner of Sweden or the Czech Republic. They're saying, no way, we're not playing against Russia. Poland's Robert Lewandowski, FIFA's reigning World Player of the Year, tweeted, "It is the right decision. I can't imagine playing a match with the Russian national team in a situation when armed aggression in Ukraine continues. Russian footballers and fans are not responsible for this, but we can't pretend that nothing is happening."
Now, what is going to happen with those games then? I mean, obviously they're saying they're not going to play them. Are they going to, is Russia winning on a forfeit then?
Well, so FIFA offered a compromise where they would play the games at a neutral site instead of in Moscow. And instead of being Russia, they would be the Football Union of Russia, and they would not be allowed to have any flag or anthem associated with Russia, associated with the team at all. But Poland has rejected that compromise and is still refusing to play.
So then again, with the then other named Russia would get that win because they're going to forfeit because they're not playing.
Well, it's still about a month before the game is actually going to be played, so they still have a bit of time, I guess, to figure out what they're going to do here. I doubt they're just going to say Poland, you forfeit, and Russia wins, given the situation in the world. Who knows? The war might be over by then, and it might not be a concern anymore. Maybe not. It's hard to speculate. But as of now, I don't think there's a solid plan on what's going to happen when that game comes up.
They haven't ruled not still kicking them out of the tournament. They haven't ruled that out yet.
Right.
Russia.
Yeah.
It's interesting for sure. Like, you don't, how do you know what to do here? Right. I mean, like Lewandowski says, like, it's not the footballers or fans, but, and do they deserve to be punished because of, because of somebody else? It's a tough goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like it's all just to stop Vladimir Putin or put him on out there, right? So I also saw that Formula One canceled their Russian Grand Prix.
Mm.
So
well, anything in Russia for sure should be canceled. I mean, that's just putting people in a dangerous spot. That's not a good situation. Like non-Russians, I mean, in a dangerous spot.
Well, the thing too is you might not be able to get like people just be like, no, I don't want to go there to either race or even play soccer. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, not only that, it might be hard to get there. Like they're canceling airfare over Russia, and it might be harder to get once you get in. That might be your last trip. So yeah, I agree. They're not going to be doing any major events in Russia for the time being.
If like in terms of FIFA here, I have no problem with them playing at a neutral site if it's amicable for all sides. But I don't think that these games should be played in Russia at all. Like you said, there should be no major competitions for the foreseeable future anyway, until all this dies down.
Yeah, for sure. So in hockey, Wayne Gretzky has come out and said that I think international hockey should say we're not going to let them play in the World Junior Hockey Tournament. I think we got to, as Canadians, take that stance since the games are going to be played in Edmonton. The games are actually played in Edmonton and Red Deer. He didn't mention that. It's a split tournament across two cities. But the juniors are rescheduled for sometime in August after being canceled mid-tournament in January due to a COVID outbreak across a couple teams. So this one, I think, from what I'm hearing, if there's a good likelihood that if this is still the situation of the world when this tournament comes around, this will likely be the case, that Russia will not be included in this tournament and others other IHF tournaments. But it's not until August, so there's a long time to go until then. We'll see if hopefully this is all a memory by then.
I think other sports organizations are going to follow the footsteps of the first guy who's got to do it, and that's likely going to be FIFA, right? If it's only a month away, then they got to make a decision on what they're going to do. Do they ban Russia and give those wins to those other teams, or vice versa? If Poland and the other teams say we're not playing, well, sorry about your luck, Russia. They got to make a decision one way or the other, and they'll have to do it first. So I can see all the other larger leagues and federations following suit, likely.
Yeah, and it's I would say it's even a little bit harder for FIFA because it's mid tournament for World Cup qualifying.
Mhm.
Whereas something like the World Junior, it's going to be a hard restart, so it hasn't started yet, even though it did in January. It hasn't started, so you can just say, sorry, you're not going to be a part of the tournament.
Mhm.
Where in the World Cup qualifying, they're already they're in a playoff against Poland, already scheduled for March 24th. So it's a bit different. It's a bit harder for FIFA. But yeah, we'll see what FIFA decides to do. And I think you're right. The rest of the sporting world will definitely take note of what they do. And one more piece in hockey. Dominic Hasek, the Dominator, has come out and said that the NHL must immediately suspend contracts for all Russian players. Every athlete represents not only himself and his club, but also his country and its values and actions. That is a fact. If the NHL does not do so, it has indirect co-responsibility for the dead in Ukraine. No, that's a serious statement from the Dominator.
Sure.
But he didn't stop there. So Ovechkin was asked about the war on Putin, and Ovechkin said, well, he's my president, but how I said, I'm not in politics, I'm an athlete. Please, no more war. Doesn't matter who's in the war, Russia, Ukraine, different countries. I think we live in a world like we have to live in peace and have a great world. And the Dominator responded to that and said, what? Not only an ableist, a chicken shit, but also a liar. Every adult in Europe knows well that Putin is a mad killer and that Russia is waging an offensive war against a free country and its people.
I mean,
So the
what he's
Dominator's on
saying
fire here.
Yeah, what he's saying is true in that sense, but there is something to say that they're an athlete. Like they don't control the politics. They can take stands for sure, but if he doesn't want to be in politics, he doesn't want to be in politics.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ovechkin here, we've seen with Panarin, who is outspoken against Putin, that can have negative impacts on your life
For sure.
when you're just being outspoken against Putin, because they will whatever they did to Panarin, they accused him of assault, of whatever they fabricated against Panarin that fucked up his life a little bit for a while. There's serious implications of coming out against Putin as a Russian, even if you're out of the country.
Yep, because you usually have people in the country that they can get to.
Yep.
But
So, what do you guys think of Hasek's take here, though, that the NHL should immediately suspend contracts for all Russian players?
I don't agree with that. I think that, like I said, he's an athlete, and we used to talk about Panarin, he spoke out, and he got in a little trouble with Putin and the Russian oligarchs, and it happened. He's just trying to stay as far away as possible out of it, and you're going to take his livelihood away because in his country they have a guy up top that's making poor decisions.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it to me this doesn't make any sense anyway. The KHL has been trying to get their top talent to stay in Russia and play in the KHL instead of going to the NHL. which they have not been very successful at because the NHL is the premier hockey league in this world. So that's where the premier players want to come play. So I don't see how kicking the Russian players out of the NHL, which I assume a bunch of them would just go play in the KHL, would be at all helpful.
Yeah, it's one thing if it's a team because they're representing the country, and I know that you are as an individual still representing your country, but it's different. It's totally different, and it's this is in America too. It's not anywhere in Europe, so there at this point is less potential for fighting here. Like there's less potential, right? It could definitely happen, and in that case then everything would be shut down anyway. But I don't think you can. I agree with you guys. I don't think you can punish the individual athletes. And I know you can say, okay, the individual athletes that are playing for their countries are getting screwed over if FIFA or World Juniors type thing say no to Russia. I don't know. To me, it just seems it's just a little bit different between the individuals in a NHL type situation.
No, yeah, you're right. It is for sure. Like there's a huge difference between playing for Russia or playing for the Washington Capitals
and
as a Russian.
Yeah.
There's a huge distinction there for sure.
I don't like the actions. I mean, I don't think they should. I mean, they're not part of it. Let them be athletes. That's what they are. Let them play.
So even the international tournaments like the World Juniors, FIFA, the World Cup, like you would let Russia play in all those tournaments?
I wouldn't.
I mean, that's up to the, I guess, other people. But for me, man, I mean, like, again, these guys they're not being part of the war because they're Russian.
Okay, so but just as an example, you're on the Canadian soccer team and you have to play Russia. Do you feel comfortable playing them even in a neutral zone, like a neutral area?
Why not?
I mean, I can't argue with you. Like you said, they're just athletes. Not that they're just athletes, but you know what I mean? They're not,
right.
And I mean, just because they're Russian.
They're not firing the guns. They're not throwing over the missiles. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, even the ones firing the guns and throwing the missiles are not the ones making the decisions to do that. Like it's, at the end of the day, really, it's one guy right now.
Right, but he's a very powerful guy that controls he's a superpower, right? So, and this puts pressure for not allowing them. It takes money out of pockets, especially in Russia, and that's what makes the world go round. So if you start canceling these games, like I don't think you should get rid of these contracts in the NHL at all. I think that's silly, but I'm fine with them not allowing Russia to be in FIFA and the World Juniors. I know, like you said, they're athletes, but like you got to put pressure on the guy that's in charge. And the way to do that is by people losing money. And I'm sure that'll happen here if they do ban them from playing. Because all right now they're doing is taking away the anthem and their flag pretty much. Yeah. It's still the same guys that play underneath.
But I mean, you're talking about Alex Ovechkin, who is likely the highest paid Russian hockey player and probably the best of all time. So to take away his money feeds into exactly what, like what's the difference?
Money though.
But what's the difference between the other? You're saying to take it away from the teams.
So
those soccer players are still, I guess they're not making millions from their country, but
well, that's the thing is their country isn't making money off this at all either. And that's what I'm saying to go after. I'm not saying about the individual person, but for the team. I know that
it is a fine line though, right? Because you're saying you're playing for a Russian team, so you can't do anything, you can't make any money or further your career because of your play. But Ovechkin can. It's a very I'm on the same page with you. It's just a very, very fine line.
I get what you're saying, but it to play underneath a no flag or whatever it is that they're going to be having, but they're still going to be technically Russia. They're just not going to, it's not going to be on the books as that, right?
Yeah.
And
They
like,
should
then-
give the opponent like Poland or whatever a 2-0 lead, and then if Russia comes back from that, then fine.
well, that brings up a whole different
Yeah.
discussion.
Well, wouldn't it not be like a 2-0 league? Don't they have to like to sit there and say score 3 goals to win if it's at a 0-0? Like they have that surrogate, whatever it's called.
Aggregate.
Thank you.
Surrogate.
Aggregate, yes, surrogate. Oh, I'm pregnant.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've touched on that enough. Let's move on from some fallout from a real war to a war of words between a league and its union. What's going on in the MLB lockout?
Yeah, so there's still no deal. Surprise, surprise. Haven't talked about this much over the last, however long it's been since they've been locked out, because there's not a whole lot to talk about. But with the deadline that the MLB gave to the PA rapidly approaching, I thought it was worthwhile mentioning now. So MLB and the PA have been involved in CBA talks for the 7th straight day today, which is Sunday, which is obviously good. The more they talk, the quicker this thing can get resolved. The league has already canceled spring training games through March 8th. And as I mentioned, that deadline is Monday, February 28th. So both sides need to agree to that CBA, or it will force the league to cancel regular season games, which nobody wants. They're saying that they have to cancel the regular season games now as opposed to more of the spring training, because they want the players to have a full 4 weeks or approximately 4 weeks of spring training just for health issues. So there's not as many injuries and whatnot moving forward in the regular season, which makes sense. So although they have made progress, the two sides, they remain far apart on some of the bigger issues: luxury tax and rates, minimum salaries, and pre-arbitration bonus pools. So just quickly, both sides have agreed to a pre-arbitration bonus pool. Problem is that the union wants $115 million distributed to 150 players, and the team's management want $20 million to be split between 30 players. As you can see, there's obviously a huge disparity in the number of players, and when it comes down to it, it's the same amount per player essentially. So the PA wants more guys to be able to get a little bit of cash, this 667,000 on average type thing, as opposed to just 30 dudes that the league wants. The league had proposed tweaking the minimum salary structure a bit. So they're offering $10,000 more per season than in previous proposals. So the union wants $775,000 as a minimum salary next season. The league is offering $640,000 with $10K raises in subsequent years of the deal. So they're close there. I could see this coming down to like a $700,000 thing and leaving it at that. Both sides could be happy there. At least they're there. They're close, hopefully. The big thing is going to be the tax thresholds and the luxury tax stuff. And I can go on to numbers forever and ever about this. Not that I know a whole lot about it, but basically the league is reducing the tax rate for exceeding the luxury tax, but the players want it to be a little less. And then penalties for exceeding the threshold in multiple years. So there's a bunch of different things here. They're still far away from it. Like I said, they have come together on other items that were topics of interest. And so they are making progress, but the time is money now. And we're canceling spring training games. We're about to cancel regular season games. If we start canceling regular season games, the union and the players are probably going to say no to an expanded playoffs, and they obviously want to be paid for these games that they're going to miss in the regular season. Which obviously, if you're an employer and your employees aren't working, why would you want to be paying them? So there's going to be more issues there if something doesn't come up tomorrow. So with all this separation and all this talk back and forth, guys, there's been good things, there's been bad things. What do you guys think in regards to the start of the MLB season? Do you think it'll start on time, which is March 31st?
Nope. I don't think so.
Short and sweet. No, that's it.
No, I mean, they're gonna want what they want. They're gonna get it, and if it's holding out, they're definitely gonna do so.
Who's going to get what they want?
Players.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I have my doubts, man. Billionaires versus millionaires, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's not going to start by the 31st.
Yeah. So I think the deadline, we're recording this on the 27th. The deadline is tomorrow to get a deal done so that they don't cancel regular season games. So I'm hopefully optimistic that the pressure of losing games and losing the revenue that would come with losing those games will force the two sides to get a deal done. I hope it happens. I don't think it's going to. And I think we're going to see a bit of a prolonged stoppage here. I think we're going to miss about a quarter of the regular season.
That much, eh? That much time. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, like, why that much time? What are they so far apart on in your mind?
Well, the luxury tax. There are huge gaps in where they want to set the luxury tax at. They're like $30 million apart right now.
Yeah.
And again, I'm hopefully optimistic that they get the deal done tomorrow. But I think if they don't, the immediacy, the urgency of getting a deal done will all of a sudden become less when you've already started to miss games. And I think it'll linger as they're far apart still, I think. So hopefully they can get it done tomorrow. If not, I think it's going to linger on for a while.
Like June a while, or like only a month, or how? Give me a date.
Quarter of the season. I think they're going to miss what's that, 40 games? Something like that. I don't know when that actually means the deal gets done, but I assume they don't get a deal done and start playing baseball the next day. They
they need that 4 weeks to get everyone healthy and everything like that. They're up to game speed too, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm gonna be optimistic here. Together they get this done. I do think if they start canceling games, it's gonna be tougher for the deal to get done, and you could end up missing more. But I think they'll get it done tomorrow, and we won't miss any. I like the expanded playoffs, but I get it. That costs money, but I think that's pretty fun. And I also think that we talked about it before. I think the season's a little long, but once you start canceling games, it's tougher to get the deal done because of the revenue that you're losing, like you said, Pete.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt, but then back to Josh's point, like the salary that their players are losing for those games, it becomes another contentious issue.
Exactly.
Just to add to the list.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're not going to get paid for those games, and that's just adds to the complications.
I know, and just think about like how long it took to get the baseball season up and running when COVID first started. Like I know a lot has to do with the pandemic at the time, but it took them a long time, more than half the season, to get going again, and they had to come to new deals and stuff like that, but they got them done in time for us to have a season. It wasn't long, but it still took a long time because they were still trying to figure out all because they had a lot of sales from people being at the stadium, whereas now the rest of the clubs were doing where we're going to go with no fans at all. Other sports. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get this done, but I think they can. I think no one wants to lose out on this money, and MLB PA is pretty good. So I think they'll get it done.
If I have to give like a amount of games, I'm going to say 13.
13. Well, Kev, you and I are more on the same page. I don't think they have a chance to get it done tomorrow. but I do think that they will in the next 2 weeks or so, which I would think that probably cuts out about 10 games or so. That's kind of my thought. I'm hopeful. But Pete, your $30 million point there on the luxury tax, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. And the other stuff, just these two, talk about these three issues, they're kind of close. Like the pre-arbitration, it's at least still the same amount of money per player, essentially. Like obviously a guy could get more money than another guy, but when you break it down on average, it's still about $667,000. And then the minimum wage, they're within striking distance there. So, but this luxury tax is going to be tough.
Yeah, but you never know when there's a deadline looming. Miracles can sometimes happen. So let's hope for the best. By the time this podcast is released, hopefully you can say we're all idiots and we're full steam ahead.
I mean, they're going to say we're all idiots no matter what, but we don't need the MLB lockout to end for that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the MLB. I take a real short break and come back with our MVP.
So our MVP this week is Christian Eriksen. After 259 days, he makes an emotional return to the pitch with Brentford after he, quote unquote, died for 5 minutes in the 2020 Euro. So the 30-year-old had a cardiac arrest on the football pitch while playing for Denmark in a Euro 2020 game against Finland in Copenhagen. In his return to the pitch, he played 38 minutes in Brentford's 2-0 defeat against Newcastle. He was quoted after the game saying, "If you take away the result, I am one happy man. To go through what I've been through, being back is a wonderful feeling." So Eriksen was released by his previous club, Inter Milan, after being fitted with an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, ICD, device, which is not permitted among professional athletes in Italy. Not entirely sure why that's not allowed, but apparently not. So he had to leave.
It's performance enhancing. You're on the ground. And, oh, you're up.
Right. So Eriksen was quoted as saying, "My ICD is here for protection. It is in because if anything would happen to me, there is no need for a defibrillator because I have my own. It is really just extra security. I am more protected here than you guys." So after his horrendous collapse, which I think we all watched because it was live during the Euro, which was just crazy for him to be able to come back and not even a full calendar year and get back on the pitch again, healthy and contributing. Our MVP for this week, Christian Eriksen. Yeah. Welcome back to the game.
Just give him like applause like everyone else did when he got on that fucking field.
Sure.
Cheers to you, bro.
Oh, more spillage. All right, just so you guys know, those block through brewing cans are really full, so they spill every time you fucking every time.
I mean, I think it's probably operator error.
Can be user error for sure.
Because they're one up.
That's right, Kevin.
One up. That's right.
Yeah, so after this game, when the whistle blew, he was fucking yelling at the ref too. Just giving or get back to his old ways.
That boy, still fucking excited.
Yeah, the ref probably felt guilty for yelling back at him. Oh my God, I don't want to freak you out.
Jesus.
But it's awesome. It's awesome to see that he's back on the pitch. Great for Denmark. He's a superstar, and good for Bedford for getting him.
Yep.
and giving him a chance, and hopefully he can continue to play at a high level. Looks like he's already in the ref's face for that, so I don't see that not slowing him down.
Yep. And kudos to the medical staff that
sure.
kept him on this world.
For sure. It's kind of crazy that
It wasn't the
that
medical
whole-
stuff I challenged. It was the actual player that actually revived them.
Oh
No way.
shit!
Medical staff.
No, sir. It was his player on the field who started the repertory systems before anybody else got on there.
Yeah, he did CPR on him, but I don't know if he brought him back.
I said he saved his life. So just doing CPR that's not successful didn't do shit.
It's gonna be a tough one to find out, boys. I'll tell you that much. Well, Kyle, while we take a look on that, why don't you move us through your XFL?
Yeah. So the XFL has basically stopped their talks with the CFL, the crappy football league. But many of the XFL selected in the draft went on to play in the NFL. We'll go through some XFL players. We have Kevin Casaveram. We have Jose Cortez, Corey Ivory, Mike Fury, and as we all know, that I remember as He Hate Me, Rod Smart.
I have no idea who that is, Kev.
You don't know the He Hate Me? That's how they all got there. They all had nicknames when the XFL first came out. And I remember when He Hate Me also went, I think he played for the Panthers. And then that's how I found out his last name was Smart. He didn't actually go by He Hate Me. Others went on to play with the CFL, the crappy football league, as I mentioned. Just going to go through a little of them. Kelvin Anderson, DeJuan Butler, Marcus Crandall. Now, PJ Walker was the first to sign a two-way contract with the Carolina Panthers. 4 others also did so, not with the Panthers, but have also signed with NFL teams ahead of the 2020 season. Jordan Tatum, Dietrich Nichols, and Darvin Askew Henry. Now, Dwayne Johnson and partners would go with the NFL, which in my mind is a better fit to play with the NFL. With this merge, we can see if it fixes the NFL league to make it better, because they're trying to talk about playing on different surfaces of fields, equipment, so on and so forth, to see if it's going to better the NFL. Now, with this other USFL league to begin in April, do you guys think the XFL will fold for a 4th time, or do you guys think that this is going to be a successful bond with the NFL?
I am nearly 100% convinced that the XFL is going to fold again for the 4th time. It just does not work. That's my thoughts.
Well, like they're trying to collaborate with the NFL, which is what they need to do, because so they're not fighting the NFL, and if NFL promotes it, that goes a long way as well.
Well, I think the NFL is on board, because I think they already have some sponsorship for televisation.
Right. So I guess I'm saying it might survive, but you still got to put a product on the field that people can watch. Now they're doing a couple neat things, like they're reviewing tape. Instant replay is all done by one guy with like an Xbox controller almost. It looks like it's pretty neat, and he can just rewind real quick and show the exact angle that you need. And
is he in his mom's basement?
I mean, no, but he's up in the booth. But it is pretty neat to watch it. And a lot of people seem to be for it, for allowing this, because they can just go back and forth compared to having a guy in the studio the way that they have it. And it's supposed to be quicker. I didn't watch any XFL games, but that's what I've heard.
So I think that's the exact problem, though. Like, are you going to watch any XFL games?
I don't know.
Now,
like,
let's just say though, if you are going to watch these, you watch a lot of college football. Now, I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of these college students or university students that are going to be involved with this XFL game if they're not making it or drafted into the NFL.
They're not college students at that point, but yeah, you're right for sure.
College graduates
Yeah.
or dropouts.
Yeah.
I mean, like right now, not so much. I'm more worried about the NFL because the big ring that has come in the Rams' way. So I'm more or less worried about that right now.
Actually, shocked you don't have your fucking jersey on.
Yeah, it's
It's in the wash.
no, it's out. It's clean. It's just
Jesse had to show us that he actually has other clothes.
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Like I can continue throwing it in your face. I don't mind. I have no problem doing that.
But like the XFL is supposed to be a spring league, right? So it'd be on like right now. Like I don't know. Is it something you're
It's
gonna
supposed
have on your schedule to make sure you watch that week?
It depends
Whatever.
on how they want to like provide it because I stream, right? I have a streaming service for the NFL, right? So I don't have cable, but
Okay, but let's
depends on
assume
what broadcasting network they'll be on, right?
yeah, let's assume you can watch it.
I might
But
put it on here and there.
there's also a Raptors game on.
Oh, I'll probably watch the Raptors game.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
big thing is what else is on.
Why would you say the Raptors? You could have said any other sport there, Pedro.
Because that's what's relevant right
Well,
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also
Would you watch spring training game over an XFL game?
I'd watch
Yeah,
XFL
like-
over spring training.
I think I'd do spring training. It
Spring
depends who's
training.
playing, but you want to see Vladdy fucking crush some dingers
If he's playing.
if he's playing, yeah,
Yeah.
or the young
it
guys or
also-
whatever.
That's also partially because it's a homer team, right? We wouldn't have a homer team in the XFL. So, you'll watch meaningless games for a homer team, right? Where you might
Yep.
not for
Yep.
something else. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think that they will fold, Pete, or at least not in the near 2 years, I'll say. Although this isn't a huge partnership with the NFL, and the NFL is basically using the XFL, my understanding anyway, is to try out new rules or tweaks to rules and whatnot. It's not like it's going to be a farm system where, this team, and this team in the NFL can pull guys from that team in the XFL. So there's nothing going to be like that. Their football's huge in the US, and if they can get more leagues that can, help some of these not necessarily lower end guys, but like you said, Kev, guys that didn't get drafted, and can maybe showcase their skills a little bit more, and maybe we can find some, you find that diamond in the rough type thing, and you bring them into your NFL team. Kev, you had mentioned about the 4 XFL players that were signed to the NFL. None of them are, except for PJ Walker, is in the NFL right now. And PJ Walker is he the starter there? Probably not.
he started, I think, 1 game this year.
Yeah, but this coming season likely will be somebody else for Carolina.
Yeah,
It is what it is. That isn't necessarily a knock on the XFL, but each guy, there's 2 guys in the USFL here and 1 that went to the CFL. I don't know. It's interesting. I think Dwayne, the Rock Johnson, is going to help this move along. Is just his stardom. It's himself is I think going to push it. He obviously had a pretty inspiring opening Super Bowl montage, I guess, if you will. It was pretty cool, and I think a lot of people like that. And because he has a background in football as opposed to a wrestler. Well, I mean, he has a wrestling background too, but it's not just wrestling like the original founder, McMahon. So I don't know. I think it will go. It's not going to be crazy. It's definitely not going to rival. There's no fucking question about that.
no, but that's the whole
I
point.
think the
They
only
don't
rival
wanna
you're going to have
rival.
with it would be the USFL. That's the only headbang that you're going to have with the XFL. is that
And
new
there's another new one that's supposed to be starting up in 2023, which is Major League Football. So there's going to be 4 if you include CFL, tier. I'm going to say tier 3 because tier 2 for me is college. So it'd be two tier 3, or sorry, there'd be 3 tier 3 leagues
You're saying 4.
Four if you include the CFL as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a Major League Football, which is soon. You have the USFL, the XFL, and then the CFL as tier 3 for me.
That's too much.
Oh, is it too much?
Not gonna have enough
Exactly.
talent to fill those leagues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all the talent likely go, especially from a CFL standpoint, likely goes south of border based on dollars and based on recognition, and that you'd think that the TV spots would be better and they'd get more exposure in the American markets. So if you're a player that way, you probably end up screwing over the CFL a little bit more. Just my take.
Well, thanks for your thought there, guys, with this XFL. Jesse, what's going on in your world?
Before we get into basketball, we're gonna talk about this challenge. We have looked at a couple videos, looked at a couple articles, and see the player Simon Craig never actually gave compressions nor breathed into his mouth. I read elsewhere that he stuck his fingers in his mouth to make sure he didn't choke on the tongue, and for that, Peter gets awarded. Because it was a defibrillator that resurrected it, or resuscitated him, and that kind of more or less saved his life.
Not more or less. It did.
So good job, Peter. Sorry about your luck there, Kev.
We needed a challenge, did we not? And there was, a
I
tough
mean,
one to do.
it was a tough one for sure.
It was a thinker.
Yeah. Definitely had to take a few minutes away, finish half a beer, and figure this out. We think we got the right victor.
All right, so there are some restrictions that might be leaving New York, as Kyrie Irving might be able to play in Brooklyn again. So New York City Mayor Eric Adams expressed optimism Wednesday about an eventual lifting of city's COVID-19 vaccination mandate. So Kyrie could potentially play home games with the Nets, which the Nets have been free falling with Durant out, and he's on his way back as well soon in the near future. Plus they got Ben Simmons, Drummond, they got, and Seth Curry. They got some a team that might be able to make a decent run for the rest of the regular season into the playoffs, as they're sitting in 8th place right now. So there's a couple things here, like Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, thinks it's kind of silly that he can't play as well because the unvaccinated players from outside of New York for the team can play at Barclays Center. And
yeah,
so
that was always goofy. Yeah,
that's the commissioner saying that, but it's out of his hands at that point. It's up to the city, right? And Irving's only played in 15 games of the 61 games this season. He's averaging 25.1 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. So he's been pretty good for the most part. And then he had a huge game last night against the defending champs, Milwaukee Bucks, by scoring a season-high 38 points. So with 21 games left, they are thinking that with getting Durant back, Ben Simmons, and everyone, they might be able to make a decent run near the end. And I'm curious to you guys, if Irving can play for Barclays at the Barclays Center, that they will be able to be a dangerous team and win down the stretch.
Yep, I think so. That guy's on fire when he's playing. The guy's unreal. I mean, I'm just shocked that he hasn't got his needles so he can actually play. But if they're going to stop and lift it anyways, and he's able to play, watch out. These guys are dangerous.
Are they more dangerous now than what they were with Harden?
Yes, I would say pretty close. I mean, I give them a shot. I mean, I don't think they're going to be currently in 8th place once it's all said and done. I'd probably put them in like maybe 5th.
No fucking way.
Yeah, so I think they're like they never managed to fully put it together with Harden and Irving and Durant. And I think we talked about it last episode, but they only played like I think 12 games together or something like that.
Yep.
So no, they're not. It would be better if they had Harden and Durant and Irving all on the court at the same time, I think, but they don't because they made the trade for Simmons. But if they can actually get Simmons and Durant and Irving on the court at the same time in the stretch here, I think they can be a decent team.
So what I was reading was that the Nets were playing with a different offense whenever Harden was on the court. They changed their entire offense because he likes having the ball. So, and then when he wasn't off the court, they'd go back to their regular offense. So we really haven't seen the Nets offense for an entire game until recently, more or less. But you still got to get your star players back in Durant, and when Ben Simmons ramps up his conditioning, so he can play in more minutes or just playing a game, I guess. It'll be interesting to see if this offense that Nash is running out there makes that big of a leap without Harden.
Yeah, like I think they may be a better mix now. Like Irving can handle the ball, Durant's an absolute weapon, and Simmons can be the third guy, which he's never had that chance to be the third guy before. So it might work for them. It might work really well.
See, I don't think that
it might not.
good. I think they would have been better with Harden. And if just what you're saying is true about playing two different styles, that's horseshit. And that's on Steve Nash for being a pussy. You just tell you got to tell Harden, sorry, bud, this is my offense that we're running. We're running it this way. And if you don't like it, too fucking bad. We're paying you to play. So get out there and fucking play. I understand where.
So sorry to interrupt, but maybe he did. That's why Harden.
Well, and that's fair, but at least that's what you got to do, right? So, I mean, if they're going to play now one offensive system, no matter who's on the court, that's obviously going to be way better. It's a whole lot easier to, everybody has the same job, and there's only one guy that comes off the bench to replace that Harden or whatever that guy, and everything still stays the same. So, I think they're going to finish in 8th. So I went through some stuff here. The rest of the schedules for 5 teams at the bottom. And from what I figure, I think the Nets are going to win 10 games from here on out. One of which will be against the Raptors. I don't like to say that, but it's going to happen. They play them back-to-back today and tomorrow. Or maybe not tomorrow, but today in their next game. So I think they'll go 1-1 there. Anyway, I think the Nets win 10. The Raps win 12. The Hornets are only going to win 9. The Hawks are winning 12. And the Celtics are only going to win 8.
I thought you mentioned the Bobcats there. Didn't you mean the Bobcats, not the Hornets?
No, I mean the Hornets.
I'm just kidding, Gary.
So with those wins and then the subsequent losses, it ties the Celtics and the Raptors for 6th. But I think that the Celtics are going to win the game against the Raptors, which means that they'll have a 3-1 record against them this year, which I believe will be the tiebreaker. So I think the Boston will still finish 6th. The Raps will finish 7, as I had said it a few weeks ago. The Nets will stay 8. The Hawks will leapfrog the Hornets to finish 9, and then the Hornets at 10. And then obviously you have the play-in. Of course, they are going to be or can be a dangerous team, but you have Kyrie, who hasn't played a whole lot, and he's still got to learn how to gel with these new players that they have. Curry, Simmons. He hasn't played a whole lot with KD, as we know, because KD is always fucking hurt. So KD still has to come back and get back into his groove. Ben Simmons got to get into his groove. He hasn't played in a very long time. I think all this culminates with only 21 games left for the Nets. It doesn't change their finishing spot, although they will make the playoffs, in my opinion. And then all bets are off. I don't necessarily think they're going to be beat in the play-in, because it is the Brooklyn Nets and it's KD. And if he can play, it's KD, and he can win the game by himself as long as he doesn't step on the 3-point line in the last shot of the game. So that's my take.
So you think they're only going to win 10 games? They're going to go less than 500%. Is that my understanding?
That's correct. Yep, 10 and 11. Yep.
I mean, like,
they play a lot of tough teams.
Yeah, and Boston's rising up real fast. I'm shocked you said they're only going to get 8 games. I think they might get Boston.
I mean, I decided I had to go one higher. Like, there's 4 teams that have 36 wins right now. This prior to Sunday's games.
Yeah.
But because they were statistically lower, that's why I only chose them. I didn't also want to go through 3 more schedules to lay out the entire fucking Eastern playoff where I figured it'll finish. But yeah, I just I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I don't like the Celtics, and maybe that's why I only gave them 8 wins.
Well, no one likes Boston. But
unless you're in Boston.
I think they're going to do better, but like gelling and making sure Durant can stay on the court is the big thing.
100%.
And you also have to think about it. Kyrie and Ben Simmons haven't played much. Well, Ben Simmons hasn't played at all, and he might be like ready to go right then and there. Right? He's not a lot has been on his body. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of
wear and tear.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. But that should help Irving and Simmons out a bunch, I would think. But again, we have to gel, and I think running that article that I read, running that one offense and switching out guys is going to be a lot better. And I think they will do better. I don't think they're going to finish in 5th. I think they're too far behind, and you still got to respect the teams up top. They'll probably pass the Raptors, sadly. And who knows if they get to 6th place or not. But because all these teams are pretty good right now, except for the Raptors, they were kind of shit in the bed after the All-Star break. But it's only 2 games, so we'll see. Hopefully, they can rebound and beat them.
I mean, the Raps also have 2 games in hand on the Nets, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's the good thing.
Yeah.
There was all this COVID stuff that happened. So that's my opinion though, is that they finish between the 7th and 6th place.
So I think I'm kind of with both you guys. I think they finish somewhere 6 to 8. I really hope it's 7th, and I really hope that Philly finishes in 2nd.
That'd be amazing.
As I would just love to see Philly, Brooklyn round 1 playoff series, and I hope Philly stomps them.
Well, if they would still have to win a game, though, right?
Yeah,
if they finish 7, they
gotta whatever.
They still have to beat somebody, but it is the playoffs, so I understand. Yeah. But you're right. That would be awesome if that was a fucking 7-game series between those 2 teams.
That's what I hope for.
Just for all the extracurriculars, like set aside the game and the talent that's in that game, but just the extracurriculars should be interesting.
Yeah, just for the storylines. I just want to see it happen. Hopefully it does. So I'm going to say 7th.
All righty. Yoshi, you want to take us into our penalty box?
Yeah, talking about extracurriculars. So Michigan men's basketball coach Juwan Howard, you all may know him from back in the day from the one of the best Michigan basketball teams of all time. He was a part of that. Well, Pete, you wouldn't know because you're a
Michigan.
loser.
Boo, Michigan.
Ohio State, come on, man.
Ohio State.
It's called Ohio shit, bud. Ohio
it's
shit.
not.
Right.
It's really not, though. It's really not.
I mean, their football team got owned this year by them.
Yeah, these things happen. It's an off year. It happens.
All right, so Juwan Howard ended up hitting Wisconsin assistant coach Joel Krabenhoft in the face in a post-game handshake kerfuffle between the 2 teams. So with Wisconsin coach Greg Gard stopped Howard in the handshake line. There was obviously some conversations, and that wasn't received well by Howard. Howard put his finger in Gard's face, grabbed Gard's sweater, and Krabenhoft came in to the middle of the scrum. Howard reached over the top and slapped him. Like, it wasn't a punch, it was a slap. Like, it was a good hard, it was a hard slap, Wrist didn't break, it was a good hard slap, but he struck him in the face. Both teams, of course, then began pushing and shoving, including some of the players. Forwards Musa Diabete and Terrence Williams appeared to throw some punches, and Wisconsin guard Jacoby Neath also appeared to throw a punch. So obviously there's going to be some shit going on down here with the suspensions and whatnot. So this all kind of culminated because Juwan Howard didn't like a timeout that Wisconsin called. Wisconsin was up 15 points and thought that the timeout was not necessary at that time. And he thought, said it wasn't fair to his guys. And so that's what happened. He got pissy, and, the smack was the culmination of that. So Juwan ended up being suspended and fined for throwing the punch, and he is suspended for 5 games, which is the rest of the regular season. The 3 players I had mentioned previously were all suspended 1 game for their involvement in this altercation. And because now that the Wolverines are without Howard, I know this happened last Monday, so there's going to be at least 1 game that's already passed, probably 2 games. But they will be without Howard for those 5 games as they try to make a push for the postseason. They are 14-11. The Wolverines are, and they got some work to do to make the NCAA March Madness tournament, which, spoiler alert, will definitely have our picks, even though, well, I've actually been watching quite a bit of NCAA recently because the Raps were off for so fucking long between the All-Star break. There was nothing else to watch. I don't watch hockey, so I was watching NCAA.
Well, why the fuck not?
I mean, last night's game would have been fun to watch.
Not really though, man.
No,
like
man.
it's a bunch of
10-7?
goals, but the goalies fucking suck. Like
That's
you
why
let in,
it's funny.
like, come on. So anyway, Juwan Howard is, for me, he's in the box this week because he's a leader. He is the team. He's the face of the team when it comes to the coaching staff and whatnot. And he's been a face of Michigan basketball for a long time. And you can't get excited like that. You can't go around smacking dudes and get all pissy because he called a timeout that he was entitled to call. I understand you might not like it, and it might not be, in good faith, I guess, good sportsmanship.
Sword loser for sure.
Right. So, and of course his leadership allowed his players to do the same thing, and that hurt the team for the next game. Now, I don't know if they lost that game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. If you lose 2 guys plus your coach, it's a tough go. So for me, that's why he's in the box. I don't know about you guys. Kev, you might have the other coach in the box.
Oh, buddy, I do so. I mean, granted, you got a finger in your face. Don't fucking touch me. Don't put your hands on me. Because once you put your hands on me, it's a different scenario.
Night.
And yeah, man, night. Because
But
that's
that's-
exactly what happened. I mean, Buddy touched him to try to give him the reasoning why he called the timeout.
Mm-hmm.
And then the assistant coach came in and must have said something. And Howard's, again, fuck you guys. Don't touch me. You physically put your hand on me first. I have all rights to smack you around, which you did.
You do not. You do not.
Yeah,
You
This ain't
physically
street
put-
fighting, boys.
You put your hand
you're a
on
professional.
me.
You can't be doing that.
Don't put your hands on me. I
Well,
mean,
then you're gonna get
physically-
suspended and look like a clown.
No,
Yeah.
I'd rather do whatever. That's just me, guys. I mean, what I saw, he had every right to do what he did. I mean, Buddy put his hand on him.
They
Buddy put
freaked
his hand
out.
on him.
They freaked out, and then they went off, and then Howard comes in and physically abuses him, not waving a finger in front of him. Like, even if that scrum it did happen, which is fine, I get it. You don't want someone waving a finger in front of you.
But you
Then-
also I mean, a finger in front's no big deal. I can sit there and stand a finger being put in front of me as long as you don't touch me.
Okay, but
And
my
that's what
point
happened.
is,
The
my
other
point
coach
is, there was a
touched.
huge scrum, and then they all went back, and then the other Joe, I'm not gonna try and pronounce that guy's last name, went back into the scrum and then Juwan jumped in there just to slap him. That's ridiculous. And I agree with Yosh on this 100%. Like, this guy should be in the box for sure.
No, I'm fine with him being in the box, but I mean, just as bad as the other head coach.
It's not just as bad.
No,
to
it's
me.
not at all.
To me, it's
Not
not
at
just
all.
All right,
as
boys. I guess I'm just that much of an old school dude.
Yeah. And it's not even so much what he did, it's the reaction that his players will have to what he does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I get that. I mean,
you're the fucking boss out there. You're the leader. You can't go smacking other teams' coaches
For sure.
because it's gonna cause a fucking melee like it did.
100%.
Yeah,
Those
that,
guys
man.
don't swing at those other players. Like the players don't swing at the players or at anybody if the coach doesn't do it.
Right.
And what
Like
happens
in
the
a
next-
scrum
oh,
like that. In a scrum like that. Like it's different if it's something on the court and Buddy fucking elbows you in the face or whatever. You're like, fuck you, Buddy. You're all off and hit him. But that's
well, that's the thing too. If that does happen, the coach now cannot say,
right.
you can't let your emotions overrule you in that situation. It's like, fuck
Yeah.
off, coach. You
Yeah,
just-
exactly.
What the fuck you talking about, coach?
Remember those 5 games that you weren't around for at the end of the year? Yeah. By the way, we made the playoffs for you.
Yeah, so like you probably right, like he's a leader and he's lost a little bit of respect here from some of the players, or they're just going to be wild as he is.
I mean, if I was a player and I saw that, I mean, I'd be game on. I'd be like, I'd be loving it. But I mean, I don't think that both were actually wrong, but I just don't disagree for what happened.
I mean, I feel like the Wisconsin coach wasn't trying to get up in his grill. I think he was legitimately trying to say, "Hey, man, like this is why I called the timeout."
No, exactly, but don't
right?
touch me
So
when
he
you're
was.
doing it.
I know, but it's not like he fucking hauled off and hit him and say, "This is why I fucking," like. He's like, dude, like try to just chill him out. Like, hey, listen, man, I called a timeout because blah blah blah.
Right?
And Jawan wanted none of it. And,
yeah, like I said, he
Like
was
you're up by
like a sore
15. What
loser.
the fuck are you calling a timeout?
Okay, well, let me try and explain something to you here with the way that the
You're
seating
playing a full
works
court
for
press
the seat. What?
because they were playing a full court press. Is why you called the timeout.
Maybe it could have been like he didn't like the play. It could have it also been that
I mean, it
with the
advances the
seating-
ball too, right?
yeah, the seating happens when I don't know if it is actually true in NCAA basketball, but in NCAA football, you want to have a large margin of victory to get your seating up further. So I don't know if it's the exact same thing because they obviously play a lot more games in basketball. So, but if he's trying to limit them from scoring by calling a timeout with a 15-point lead, that's also time for you to get your shit together and fucking start coming back in this game too.
We're trying to.
Well, I mean, the game was over.
It was, but
Like 100% it was over. There was like 4 seconds left.
And that's why the whole thing is why you're calling a fucking timeout.
Yeah, but you still can't. You can't cock back and swing at a guy. You can't.
I mean, that coach is just as old school as I am. Then
And that's why he's not coaching right now.
that's probably why I wouldn't be coaching either.
all right, guys. That's gonna wrap it up. We weren't super fast, but it was a hell of a lot quicker than last week. So I know we got a little bit still to go here. So Pete, why don't you give us our scores for the week?
Well, it was just the one complicated challenge, but Peter ended up on top with the victory. Sorry, Kev.
Don't
It
be.
was close. It was a tough one.
It was a tough one. If we awarded half points, you guys would have got half each, or
Yeah.
or 0, whatever.
Could've
But we
just been
don't.
we could have just had a push.
But
Yeah.
we
But we don't.
don't.
Win or lose. Second
Well, it's a
place
good
is the
thing that-
first loser, boys.
It's a good thing the
Yeah.
beers aren't involved in this. Then
Yeah, because you guys would all be bitches.
no, I think it would be me with the lowest.
See, you could do it the other way around. You could do the highest, just gets a +1.
And that's better than anyway. So yes, the one challenge today brings our season totals. Jesse is leading the pack at +5. The fucker.
Boo!
You
Peter is taking the silver medal here, which means nothing.
first
You're not first, you're last. At +3. Josh is -2, and Kev drops down to -7 on the season.
You.
I mean, it's a start. I'm glad I
It's a
haven't dropped
start.
from -2 in 2 weeks, though. I mean,
We are
+1,
Six.
-1 last week for me. Nothing this week. That's all right, you know.
Josh is really flirting with
If-
that getting out of the negative.
Yeah, man. I would like to finish
Nah.
this year in the positive, even if it's just
It's
a
not gonna
+1.
happen. It's not gonna happen.
Fuck
You're
you,
gonna end up
Pete,
at
it's gonna happen.
You're gonna end up at -3
I'm just waiting for
after a
golf
bunch of
season.
wins and losses.
I got you guys in golf
It's
season.
if anything, we're predictable. We're falling exactly into the same order we were last year.
Hey, you never know what we might come up with, a washer tosser, or maybe horseshoes. Who knows? Worth 25
Yeah.
points. You never know. Jesse, what are you really bad at?
It was golf, but
Oh,
I got the win last year at the end. I'm still reigning champ for golf champion, but
What? Really?
yeah.
That's
That was
That's
the last,
embarrassing.
was the last one of the year Pete's
You-
baby
yeah,
shower thing?
yeah, it was Pete's baby shower. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was. I knew it was something for Pete.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember.
I wasn't
Well,
at that one.
I mean, you only won because I wasn't there. So
Still reigning champ.
Exactly.
fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys. We got one more thing before we fuck off today. I want to know how your drinks were. Kev, start us up.
Oh, the turkey shot, Lake Simcoe, lagered ale at a 4.8%. I like it, man. I mean, it was tasty.
Your
I'll
water.
do this one again. Yeah,
I think it's turkey shoot, Kev. A turkey shoot.
yeah, turkey shoot. Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Gobble,
Turkey
gobble,
shot,
gobble.
turkey shoot. Yeah, something. I just like the can, man. It's pretty decent.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Yeah, exactly. Gobble, 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 gobble. And it was like, again, 4.8, doable, drinkable. You can go through
Good.
about like 8 of these, no problem. Easy peasy, lemon
Do
squeezy.
you even get drunk off 8 of those?
Maybe not. I mean, maybe like a
I
little
mean,
buzz. A little buzz.
Kev would because he used a clear 2.0, but you know.
Oh.
Well, no, that was 27 though. That was 27 of those.
Oh,
So
Super hydrated.
yeah, man.
yeah.
Pissed like a racehorse the whole fucking
You
night.
gotta
I'll tell you what.
rehydrate while you dehydrate, boys.
That's right. Pedro, how was yours?
Thanks, Kev. My Kitty Bitty Brewing Calm Tom's Double IPA, which I was hopeful given your big bitch
Hold it
beer.
still. Hold
No,
it
no,
still.
put it by your white shirt and it will come in focus. I guarantee you. Put it on your face. There
Oh
it is.
shit! There he goes.
Might as well just replace it.
There
Sorry.
it is. There it is.
You want him to
Uh,
replace his face with a can?
I mean, there's a face on the can, so it's
No,
not
co-
unreasonable.
No,
put it
not
down
right now.
You gotta put it on you. Come on. Did you not learn anything?
There it is.
All right, boys. All right. I was hopeful it would be the winner, but it was not because Josh is a cunt. But it was good. Good double IPA, 7.5%. Good beer. Jesse, how was your big bitch beer?
No, it wasn't big bitch. It was just
Bitch.
second. Laura Brewing Company, Lady Friend IPA. Obviously, it wasn't as strong as yours. 6%.
Or mine.
Bitch. Bitch. Bottom half, below average.
Let's just put that can back up in front of your face. But I like it. It's a good IPA. I'm definitely gonna get it again. It's part of the Laura Brewing, and I like those beers a lot. Yosh, why don't you tell us your big baller beer?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner, boys. Not a turkey dinner, chicken dinner. We got a 1-up from Block 3 Brewing. Looks like a Mario can. Like I said, Block 3 out of St. Jacobs. Just not too far away from Kitchener, just down the highway. It was a very tasty, extra strong, 8.7 championship percentage beer. And
Excellent farmer's market there, by the way.
yeah, visit
It
is it
is
for sure. And yeah, I liked it. I got to get it again because it's good. I mean, I said I like it. But isn't that enough? You guys don't need any more than that, do you?
No.
No, didn't think so. Anyway,
I do.
well,
I do.
yeah, well, too bad. That's all you get. 1-up, Block 3 championship beer this week.
Woo!
All right. So for everyone here at Points and Penalties, would like to thank you all for listening. Please subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. YouTube's right here, bottom right corner. You can do it. I know you can. Please give us a like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Points Penalties. And until next week,
Stay out of the penalty box.